Growing up, normal family, mom and dad are still together, well-educated, good jobs. I have 2 sisters, and we had a happy childhood. It's not that I didn't feel like I fit in. I definitely acted out a lot to try to get attention, but relatively happy. There was some anger. I had some anger issues. I wanted to be an only child, and I didn't want anything to do with my little sister. So I acted out a lot with her. I would convince her to do things. I would tell her to sit in these little plastic chairs that we had, and I would duct tape her to them. And she'd be like, no, you don't let me up. And I'd be like, no, this time I'm going to let you up. And then I would leave her there, and my mom would have to come and let her up, and finally had to tell her stop trusting her. I know a friend came to me one time whose mom had gotten surgery and gave me a Vicodin, and I took it and we went to sleep, and that was it. So the first time I smoked weed, I don't remember which one was first. I don't think I got high. It was a pop can, an empty pop can. I don't remember, it doesn't really stick out in my mind. I know we overpaid for the weed, that's what I know. Kind of prided myself on saying I had stuff under control for a really long time, but if I think about my drinking from the start, my drinking was definitely out of hand. I was blackout drunk from the beginning. In my mind, it wasn't a problem because I was affording all of it. I paid my bills and all that, but reality, I was stealing from this job that I was a manager at. And I eventually got caught, and I got fired from there, and it was kind of at that point that any real control went out the window, and it was just as much as I could get stealing. That's where a lot more stealing from family, and the cycle of getting new jobs and getting caught and getting fired, and just over and over. Not wanting to be sick, and I remember making promises of. And each time I got fired from a job, it was like, okay, I'm gonna get clean. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna get high at work. I'm not gonna do it, and making all these rules. And then as soon as, I started, it was like I never said that stuff. I really wasn't good to my little sister, but she always still, I don't know what it was, I'm just her big sister, and she wanted to be around me. When I was going to rehab, my dad told me that she would come to him so upset and crying, not because I stole her money, but because she was just so worried about me. I'd always had a pretty good relationship with my parents. I was really close with my dad, and I had gotten a lot closer with my mom in the recent years. They didn't even want to look at me anymore, but I knew they wouldn't kick me out, and I would take that to my advantage. You just don't care. You don't care how you're hurting them. I wanted to stop hurting them. This isn't who I am. I just didn't know really what to do. I had friends who went through the same thing, and they went to rehab and go to meetings and that kind of stuff. But to me, that just sounded so silly, and I knew better and I could do it a different way. I pretty much had pushed everybody out. I had a lot of lows, and career is the most important thing to me. Finally, I got fired from that job for stealing, and it was my 7th job in 2 years. And it was just kind of at that point, and all the other ideas of detoxes and Suboxone maintenance and just smoking weed and all the other things that I tried to do didn't work. And it was kind of at that point, I was just I'm done. I don't know what else to do, and I don't want to keep living this life. Like I said, I had friends who had gone through this before and gone through treatment, boyfriends, best friends, that kind of stuff. And they did the bounce around and in and out of rehab, in and out of jail, that kind of stuff. And to me, I'm well, this isn't working for them. I had stolen some money out of my mom's bank account, and that's when they kind of they knew something was up. When I finally admitted to them what I'm a drug addict, I went to my first meeting that night, and it seemed so crazy to me. So I wasn't sold on it yet, but I think it's just people's experiences over and over again. And I think I just got to a point where I was well, my ideas aren't working, so this works for a lot of people. Well, before I went to treatment, I only went to the one meeting and decided that this was not for me. By the time I got to treatment, I was pretty open to everything. I don't think I had the idea of, this is going to be something that I'm going to continually do for the rest of my life. I don't know if there's a set number, but now it's just so normal. And I have friends that show up for me. I can show up for them, and it's not just trying to get something out of each other. My parents live across the country, but they miss me and they want to talk to me, and they're proud of me. It's mostly just not having to hear the disappointment in their voice that I stole from them again, or that I got fired again. Or my parents help me out a little bit, but I pay my rent, I pay to live. that's always a good feeling. I have my own place. I usually just say, think of all the times that you've tried to get clean and tried to get sober, doing it your way and making like, well, I'm going to do this, but not this, and I'm going to do this and not this. Just follow in other people's footsteps that have succeeded at this. If you don't like it, you can always go back to. I didn't grow up in a family seeing drugs and alcohol being abused, and I just kind of thought that I was smarter than that. Like, I'm smarter than addiction. Yeah, I still have home group I show up for. I am on committees for retreats, and there's a lot of sober events. Like, that's a big thing. People are like, well, what do you do for fun if you're not drinking and you're not getting high? You hang out and you get weird with each other, and it's still a lot of fun. I think probably the best advice that I've been given is you have to let everybody have their own experience. Because I'm definitely a fixer, and I want to like shake people who aren't quite getting this and keep relapsing and everything, and be like, why can't you just get this? Why can't you just do it? And you can't control people. You just have to let them have their experience. Just give it a chance, to see if your life changes, and if it doesn't, drugs and alcohol are always going to be there.